Hello, everybody. I am back here today, for another MMA commentary video. This time we're going to be talking about Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. This was just announced a few hours ago, and, of course it's going to be the talk of the sport until it happens, and probably after it happens. So I'm here to give my 2 cents on it, and, why I think this, let's be honest, guys, this isn't a good matchup, you know? And I'm going to explain why I think that. So here we go. Is it a dangerous idea? Yes. And here's why. Here's why I think that. Well, first, before we get into that, let's break down, because they're doing the Ultimate Fighter 2, as I'm sure you all know. And I think that this is the perfect thing, one of the best things the UFC could have done right now, We totally needed this, and part of me thinks that they're sharing all this good news with us, because of some recent stuff that has happened between, basically Dana got the TKO on his wife, as we know. And, they're probably just trying to give us all this good news and hope we forget about it, But hey, I'll take it because it's working, The UFC needed this, Like I said, it's the first noteworthy season since, probably the last time McGregor did it. Because think, what has it been recently? Let's look at a list of recent tough seasons. So I've got the list here, of recent seasons, and we had Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes. Come on, what are we doing here, guys? If we want people to watch this show, Alexander Volkanovski, Brian Ortega. I didn't watch that, and I heard from people that did watch it. They were just saying they were kind of, forcing the beef a lot, And then before that, they didn't do it for a few years for a good reason, They probably... There's probably a reason it stopped, And the new seasons have been weak, so... and truly, the last good one was Conor McGregor versus Uriah Faber. So, yeah, another good thing about the season is it's a winnable fight for Conor, If we want the sport to be doing well, if us fans want that big fight feel, we need Conor to be winning, Whether you like him or not, or agree with the things he says or things he does or not, because I don't agree with everything, but I'd say I'm a fan of him, We want him winning, that's just the truth. The more he loses, the more his name value, let's be real, his name value is never going to go down, but I'm saying, you know what I mean, the more you lose, it's just not good. And, that brings me into my next point, which is kind of what I was trying to get into originally. Michael Chandler, is he the best opponent? I said yes, but no. Yes, because the pros for Michael Chandler, are very positive. He sells himself very well. He cuts a promo very well. After he beat Ferguson and hopped on the mic and made that call out to Conor, I was thinking, wow, this guy, he got to the UFC, and he's only a few fights in still, and he knows what he's doing. He knows how to put himself in front of people. He knows how to get what he wants. So, he's a guaranteed sell. He'll sell against whoever he fights. But obviously Conor is just going to be that much better. Another pro is he has an entertaining style. And, he, and that kind of ties into my point at the bottom that says willing to stand. He is willing to sacrifice, good position to stand, for the fans. Or I don't know if it's for the fans. I don't know why exactly he does it. But we've seen in all his fights that, he doesn't necessarily take the smarter approach. He kind of takes the fun approach. What the fans want to see. And that's what we need against Conor McGregor, Imagine if Conor McGregor fought Islam Makhachev. That would be really boring, we've already seen that. But, Conor against a stand-up guy, like, yeah, we like that. Another pro for Chandler is if he wins, which I think he does. We'll get to that in a second. But if he wins, Chandler's a huge star, because I think he's going to be able to keep the momentum. Dustin knocked out Conor McGregor and then got the trilogy fight with him. But, do we think of Dustin as like a huge star in the sport? No, he's one of the bigger ones. He sells pretty well. And I'd say people like him. I like him. I know some people don't, but I like Dustin Poirier. But, I don't feel like Dustin Poirier can go headline a pay-per-view like in a non-title fight, like Conor can, so, or like Nate Diaz can, or Jorge Masvidal, I just don't think he's really on that level because he didn't really capitalize under the spotlight. Whereas I feel like Chandler, if Chandler wins, the UFC's got another big star, which is great. Another thing is that he's ranked pretty high, I'm pretty sure he's top 5 in lightweight, right? He shouldn't be. I don't think he's number 5. I'm just going to say it. But, something worth mentioning here now that I realize that I'm talking about the lightweight rankings is that this fight is probably going to be at 170, which I do think favors McGregor. I think McGregor is probably walking around a little heavier and probably a little more muscular as of recently. But, I think Chandler is also preparing like to get big for the fight. So I think they're both going to come in muscular. And, that definitely, like, I think for power that favors McGregor, but I think for cardio, like, that's going to favor Chandler because he's kind of more used to it, McGregor was gassing out, like, when he was still pretty skinny, or, like, pretty lean. With all that muscle, we don't know how he's going to look. He might gas out quick. He might not. We really have no idea until the fight starts. But, it's just interesting to think about. Besides Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler is probably the best matchup for him, because, yes, he does have wrestling, but like I said, is he gonna wrestle? Probably not. So, and then another interesting point I have here, let me elaborate on this. I said might be too nice on tough, because, and then this also ties into these here, which are missed opportunities. If Chandler goes on there, Chandler's a very clean-cut, family-friendly, like, PG kind of guy. Not all the time. Obviously, he's a fighter. But, like, Chandler's going to be really nice, and he's probably, he's going to be on Conor's nuts talking about, like, Conor's one of the best of all time, and, he's brought the sport to a whole new level, and it's just an honor to fight him, And Conor, he's just gonna be like, he's a little bitch. I don't know, man. I can't do that voice, but think if McGregor and Masvidal, which could have been the biggest fight in the UFC if they booked it in 2020. Think about that season, man. They'd be shit talking the whole time. They wouldn't shut up, Same for Tony Ferguson, I was hoping that they would have done Tony Ferguson and McGregor. I think most people would have preferred that, but we all kind of knew it was going to be Chandler. Because Ferguson is a much more winnable fight, and in my opinion, a much more entertaining season. So, yeah, and then as we see the odds up here, McGregor is the favorite, which I think is ridiculous. I think, McGregor, he's either going to get cracked or, I'm still kind of worried about his leg, man. Especially, if Chandler lands like 10, 15 unchecked kicks, Conor's in the exact same position as he was in the second Poirier fight, I just, how is he going to save himself from that? How much is Conor really gonna learn, I know it's kind of harsh, but, he's living the life. And he's probably not wanting to take a training camp super serious when he already has the life he wants. Whereas Michael Chandler, he's training year round. He's always in shape. He's always, he's just always in go mode. He's ready for the call. Whereas Conor, Conor's on his yacht on some island, going to the Black Forge Inn and, drinking his whiskey. It's what he's doing, All right. What will this fight sell? Because, look, let's cut to the shit here. McGregor is the guy, as we see here. He is the top seller in the UFC. We all know that. And, it's very impressive. And I think that McGregor versus Chandler, I think this fight might be able to do 2 million, Look at what he did against Cowboy, Cowboy coming off of, I think it was 2 losses at that time, kind of a short build-up, as in, like, there was no tough, and they still broke 1 million, And obviously just every McGregor fight does 1 million, so I think we can totally expect, if not 2 million, then above 1.5, maybe like 1.7, 1.8. That's probably more accurate. But, I think this could probably be the second biggest pay-per-view of all time. I don't think it's going to beat Khabib and McGregor. But, this one has a lot of appeal. McGregor coming off of a gruesome injury, against a good opponent. And they're doing tough. They're doing the Ultimate Fighter for the build-up. And that's going to put, I'm going to watch that. You're going to watch that. We're all going to watch that. So, there's what I think. All right. With that being said, I think, Conor and Tony probably would have done like 1.4 or 1.5 million. But McGregor and Masvidal in 2020 could have been the biggest fight ever. But if they did that now, I don't know how much the UFC really likes Jorge. I wouldn't blame them if they're kind of pissed at him for the Colby situation. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But, it is what it is. And, that's it probably would do a similar... Masvidal and McGregor probably does the same as McGregor and Chandler. Probably gets close to that 2 million mark. Because Masvidal does have big pay-per-view numbers under his belt, even if he's not really winning right now and getting the same numbers. I think he's like 1 or 2 wins away. So, that's my thoughts on this. I think, look, I would love to see McGregor win. I'd love to see him get a highlight reel knockout in the modern era, but I just don't know if it's going to happen, man. I think they're playing with fire here, because if McGregor loses, it's not good for the UFC. It'll be great for Chandler, but, I think Chandler will probably win. I think Chandler will probably knock him out. But, it'll be interesting to see. And, we're all going to be watching tough with them on it. So, at the end of the day, we can't get mad. We only have a few more years of McGregor. So, it's good to get a few more highlights out of him. And that's what I think. So, yeah, y'all have a good day. And see you in the next video.